All right, welcome back to D3 Glory Days. Excited for this episode. We're now joined by Mike McCann from Marywood University, but more importantly, fresh off a 2:15 gun time. I think you just got under there, 2:14 high. So you're a 2:14 marathoner. Mike, welcome to D3 Glory Days.
Hello, everyone.
Excited to talk to you, Mike. 2:14 marathon. You're about what, week and a half removed from it. How are the legs feeling? Are you finally recovered? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Honestly, it took me until Thursday to start feeling really good again. I only took a week off. If it was up to me, it would have only been 5 days, but my coach was not having that. So I ended up taking a week off, and I started running back yesterday. I ran 3 miles yesterday, 4 today, and I feel amazing.
So let's go back to the decision to put CIM on the calendar in the first place. I think CIM is kind of the everyman's championship in U.S. marathoning. It always gets really deep fields, and especially in OTQ years, you see just a lot of guys going for it. And so as you were kind of exploring where to run, tell us a little bit about what drew you to Sacramento.
Honestly, I mean, I usually let my coach, Dylan, decide a lot of that stuff for me. I could say we were probably inspired by seeing Charlie Teeter last year go there and run 2:18. That was one because I know we had pretty similar college times. We competed a lot. We were in the same region, Mid-Atlantic, and definitely inspired me seeing him there. It was, when we put it on the schedule, it was never an OTQ attempt until October when I ran 63 and a half. Then we were like, all right, there's no reason to think I can only run 2:18 on a perfect day.
Might as well go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of different factors, but definitely was the right choice. It really worked out.
And before we get into the race itself, you just mentioned running a 63-minute half marathon, and that seemingly kind of came not out of nowhere, but it was a big jump for you given your college PRs and all of that. Can you kind of walk us through what that training looked like to get a 63-minute, to run a 63-minute half?
Yeah. So the beginning part of this year was not great. I mean, I spent probably 2.5 out of the first 4 months of the year completely debilitatingly sick, and I still trained through it. I only took like a couple days off when necessary, but a lot of that training wasn't great. I was on the track to start the year. I opened up with a 3K, ran 8:38, then ran a 5K at BU in 14:43, which were both technically PRs. But then in March, ran a half in 67:12. That was really hard. I remember struggling a lot of that race, dying a little bit just because we went out in 5 flat and maybe I wasn't ready for that. And then I ran Jersey City Marathon in April and ran 2:24, and I was like, man, that sucked. 4 miles into the race, I was exploding. Like, I just felt terrible. I missed my first bottle because it was around a turn and I just didn't see it. Second one, I just threw it up, and the third one, it was at 18 miles. So I was like, well, not even going to bother. And I was super disappointed, and I just needed a break from running. So I took a full 2 weeks off for the first time in probably 5 years. I hadn't taken more than 10 days off of running, like, ever. And then began the 32-week training block to CIM, a very, very long block. The early part of the summer was spent doing some shorter races. I did 2 5-milers and a 3-miler. And I very proudly won the 3-miler. It was a local one, and I was really, really happy with that. I ran like 14:30, which at the time, very, very good.
Did Dunder Mifflin put it on? I mean, you're in Scranton, right?
No, it was in Wilkes-Barre. It's the city 30 minutes out.
The rabies awareness race for the cure program.
It's something like that. Yeah, I forget the name, but it might have been that.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I drove across the country to Colorado. I went out with my buddy James, my former Marywood teammate, and that was fun. That was a interesting week of training, just because we would stop every 4 hours, shake out 6 to 4 miles anywhere in there, and then we'd keep driving and then repeat. And then we got to Colorado.
You drove the whole way out to Colorado just for 1 week?
No, I was in Colorado for 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, that's a lot of driving for no
math doesn't add up on that one.
Yeah.
That week specifically was obviously a little bit of a down week. But I got there, and honestly, I was at Boulder the last year. Well, I stayed in what town did Lakewood. I stayed in Lakewood last year, and that training was terrible. I failed like every workout. But come this year, I only ended up failing 2 workouts. I failed the second session of a double T, whatever. It was some 400s, and I just couldn't run pace. And then I failed like a long tempo. I think I was supposed to run like 15 or 16 at like 6 flat, and just capped it off at 11. But I got into a groove. I had 5 miles straight of 100 miles. 3 of those weeks being 115 or higher, and those were amazing. I had like some stretches where I was a little sick, and that really only affected my easy running. My workouts were still great. Um, then I drove back, had another down week. I drove back completely by myself too, so that was
How long is that drive?
from me it was 24 hours. So on the way there, I made it 2 days. On the way back, I took an extra day. I took 3 days, and
That's
yeah,
awful.
that was something. I mean, it wasn't as bad as you'd think. A lot of it was just cruise control. I was basically on the same highway
Okay, 70,
the
right?
whole way. I took 80 the way out, and I took
Okay.
70 the way back. I have this little goal where I want to run in every state, so I took a different way back to hit a
Oh,
couple
that's
different
smart.
states.
That's cool.
How many
Yeah.
states are you at right now?
I'm at 21, and
Okay.
most of those have come in the last like year.
Yeah.
I did the math. I think I'm at like 25, surprisingly.
Nice.
And I don't travel that often. I think it's because of coaching and having to go around there.
Yeah.
And how many
Yeah.
states are there currently?
Oh, well, Puerto Rico, 51, technically. 50?
Yeah.
I think
District of
I think
Columbia,
technically,
too,
I
yeah.
think technically 50 still. But if we're getting into territories, are you going to add territories to this list, or
No, you see, the thing is, I was just gonna do the lower 48 as well. Like, when the heck am I gonna go to Alaska and Hawaii? Probably never.
Honolulu
You know?
Marathon just happened. Maybe go out there and win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it like 70 degrees?
Yeah, I'm pretty humid too. It'd be
Yeah,
pretty
that would
tough.
suck. Maybe I'll do the mile and get last place. Maybe
Yeah.
I could do that. But yeah, that training was pretty good. I get back though. I hit every workout, but some of the sessions were harder than maybe I would have expected. I ended up racing a 10 miler. About 2 weeks after I got back, I ran 50:08, and for the time being, I thought that was a pretty good race.
What
you know?
month are we in right now? Just so like a timeline.
So this was August 31st.
Okay.
If you want the exact dates, my 3 mile was July 4th. I left July 5th, and then I left Colorado October 10th, and I got back, or not October, excuse me, August 10th, and I got back August 12th.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. This 10 miler was August 31st. I ran 50:08. Lost by almost 2 minutes to Tyler Day. Don't know why he was in Wilkes-Barre, but he was out there and he kicked my butt. Um, so that training, it was solid. I wouldn't call it like a 10 out of 10. I was still struggling with adjusting from coming back from altitude, starting school again. Because at this point I just started grad school. So that was a tough adaptation.
So
too.
for you, running 50 flat for a 10 miler, 5-minute pace for the most part, as a 14:45 guy, how is that effort for you? Did you feel like that was going in the right direction, or how did you feel about that race?
I mean, coming into the race, I really didn't want to race. I was feeling particularly unmotivated. Just maybe some personal stuff bothering me. Running wasn't really the top of my priority list. And going into the race, I was like, man, I woke up at the race was pretty early in the morning. So I like to be up about 3.5, 4 hours before the race. I wake up at like 4. I'd eat an English muffin and get my bicarb down. And I'm like, man, I really don't want to do this. But the race was really tough. I really struggled, honestly, like even 3 miles into the race. I was racing with one of my buddies, Hunter Brignall. He was a D3 guy as well, SUNY Cortland, and he beat me pretty good. I walked away thinking it was a B plus race, and more so in hindsight, it's even worse, considering I ran almost 10 seconds a mile faster in a half, just like a month and a half later.
Yeah, I mean, hearing this, I'm kind of curious, like, what gave you the audacity to believe that you could run 63 and then, eventually 214? Because, and we'll get into your background later, but I think if you
Yeah.
look at it on paper, you wouldn't pin you as a guy who's going to go out and run 63 and then follow
Yeah.
it up with a 214. And so during this training block, I guess, how are you viewing yourself, and at what point did you start to really believe that those times were attainable? Or were
Well,
they just a huge surprise?
yes, definitely surprised. The half especially. I wanted to get into the CIM elite field, and I knew the standard was 65.0, and so I set a goal of trying to run 65.0 at Mohawk Hudson, and it's a little bit of a net downhill course too, which helped. It's about negative, I don't know, 150 feet to
You
maybe
cheater.
20.
You're not
Yeah.
one of those legit guys. Kidding.
You know, what specifically sucked about that race is they used to have a course record bonus, and I broke it by like 96 seconds, and I didn't get it because I don't have it anymore. So boo on that. But I just wanted to run under 65. I was running with one of my buddies, Joey Data, and we both wanted to do that. And I go out in the first mile in 5:07, which obviously is a lot slower than 65 pace, 65 flats, like 4:58 or whatever. And I'm like, shoot, I feel amazing. So we get on the river trail. I just start hammering it. I mean, I just felt so good. I start clicking 450s, and then there's a super downhill section, which is basically where all the downhill of the course comes, which in about 3 miles. And I split a 14 like 40x 5K, and I'm like, shoot, like I'm feeling amazing. And I just tried to keep it as consistent as I could. I still ended up negative splitting. I closed my last 10K because the marathon also runs through it. So there's a final 10K of the marathon split, which is the same as the final 10K of the half in 30:14, which was a minute and 27-second PR compared to my track 10K, which I had run in April of 2024. So I mean, I crossed the line. I mean, there might be some pictures of it, but I'm literally going like this. I look at like I couldn't believe it. I mean, I hadn't done really any workout that had shown I could do that. A lot of our stuff is pretty conservative. My easy runs, I mean, I run 7:30 pace every day. I work out threshold like 5:20. So there's really weren't any indicators that I could do that. I think I had set 3 goals in mind, which was A goal under 65. B goal was course record of which was 65:27, and a C goal was just PR and do whatever, and the PR being 67:12. So smashing all that, I walked away and I was waiting for my coach Dylan to he won the marathon. I was waiting for him to finish because I was like, man, like I don't know what this necessarily proves or what it's equivalent to, so I kind of wanted his input on that. And he was like, that's probably worth, 214 high, 215 low. And there's no reason to not try to OTQ now because for a while, like, I just wanted to, like, I thought a perfect race at Sam would be, a 218 going out at 70 flat and just having a big close. So after that, we were like, man, like, we're going to really go for it these next 7 weeks. I ended up having 4 weeks of 120 miles in there with some big workouts. A lot of which I was able to do with him because I was finally able, like, good enough to hang with him in workouts. And that really helped, definitely. But it wasn't really until Mohawk Hudson where I had any thought of OTQing. I thought when they moved it down to 216, I might have to wait till the next cycle to do it just because I was a 224 guy. Like, what does that really mean? It doesn't really, mean much, even though that was a terrible race that I was sick for. Like 224 to 216, that's almost, I guess it's 5:34 down to 5:12. It's 22 seconds a mile right there. It's like, that's a lot.
Where do you get your confidence from? Because even right there, like, yeah, I think I could run a 218, but that's still a 6-minute personal best that you're dropping off. And like you kind of said, training's been like hit or miss. So where did you think like a 218 was in the cards based on just like how awful that 224 went?
Well, I've been pretty chronically ill the past like 4 years. So when I am sick, it goes disastrously, but I always know I have the ability. I consistently trained throughout all of it. Nothing's ever interrupted my training. I've run 100-mile weeks for over 2 years now, and nothing's interrupted that. And I'm kind of also immune to getting hurt. And
Knock
the
on something. Holy
consistency.
crap. Knock on something.
I'm fine. Trust me. I haven't had an injury in 5 years.
How old are you?
22.
Just
I've
wait,
only,
buddy.
I've only suffered
Just
one
wait.
injury.
Those young
Yeah.
legs.
My son.
Yeah. I'm pretty young. Yeah, but easy day. My easy days easy have been saving me. I mean, for a while I was 8-minute pace for the longest time. Every single day, 8-minute pace. Now when I run with Dylan, we end up running 7:15, which whatever. Won't harp on that too much, but I would just say the confidence comes from a lot from him. He knows what I'm capable of. He thinks I'm pretty like following in his footsteps pretty well. He ran 214 at 23. I wanted to break his PR, and I was only 5 seconds off. I was so mad after because I needed. I was joking. We had like a Friendsgiving or whatever the heck you call it, and he was there, and I was like, this time in 2 weeks, I'll have the fastest marathon PR here. And he was like like pointing at himself, like saying, like,
And
"Are
you'll
you
be
including
coaching.
me?"
You'll be coaching him. Yeah.
No, he does not want that. But yeah, so I guess the confidence comes from both of us. Like, even if other people are like, this 224 guy thinks he's gonna OTQ, we know. Like, we know what the training is. We know my efforts. Um, we monitor that pretty clearly. And yeah.
So you got to Sacramento, you had that 63-minute half in your back pocket, you were coming off good training, you kind of know the layout of CIM, there was going to be a big group going out at OTQ. Walk us through your game plan for that race, at least to the early stages of that race. Like, what was your target pace at the beginning, and then kind of how did the reality match up with that?
Um, So I actually want to start with the warm up and what
Yeah.
happened before the race. This is the funniest part to me because I actually didn't get into the elite field. I was in the seeded field because I had ran my time too late. I guess
Oh.
from what I heard, people were pivoting from how bad Berlin was with the weather to CIM. Or if they ran bad at Berlin, they wanted another shot at it.
Don't dox
this year.
yourself here, though. Don't get yourself in trouble if you're about to say something you shouldn't have done at the pre-race.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
I did nothing. So you're not allowed to be dropped out at the start. So I didn't get a bag check or anything. So my buddy, he parked at McDonald's a mile and a half down the road, ran over to the start line, took my stuff because I wasn't gonna warm up in my racing shoes. Like, you're not gonna catch me warming up in my Pumas. So like I
Not
was
in
able
this
to wear.
economy.
Yeah.
Every mile counts.
Every mile, and those are $300 if you're lucky. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to warm up in pants and a jacket, and I didn't want to have to worry about any of that. So shout out Aiden Donovan, came to the start line and got my stuff for me. And my warm up itself felt pretty awful because I was just so nervous. He wasn't texting me back. He was just trying to figure out how to get there because of the road closures. And ultimately, he had to park over a mile away. And once we figured it out, I was able to calm down. I was probably a little, I guess, geeked up. I woke up super early, obviously. The race at 7 a.m. I was up at like 3:45 or whatever, maybe a little bit earlier, 3:30. And I had half a bagel, and I got my bicarb down. That might be a hot take, but I take bicarb for marathons. Don't know if the people are doing that, but I am.
Doesn't like everyone do that nowadays?
Yeah,
For marathon, I don't know.
Before my time, I don't know.
Yeah. So, and then after that, I had a Morton 320, and then I had a McDonald's sweet tea and a Gatorade.
Jesus.
And so I wanted to get as much fuel as I could get in before because
do you have strong stomachs? I feel like that would like
yeah, I
cramp
have a
me up
very
so
strong
bad.
stomach. Well, that's where the electrolytes came in with the fluids. I was hoping the electrolytes would help me prevent from cramping because I had an issue in a workout where I didn't blow up the workout. It was still an amazing workout, but it was a workout where it was like 4 mile, 3 mile, 2 mile, 1 mile, 800 with off 800 float. And it was going perfectly until the mile rep. And I just started cramping up really bad. And it was probably a lack of electrolytes. So I wanted to make sure I got an electrolytes. And it worked out. I was lucky I took in that much beforehand because I was only able to get 1.5 gels in during the race. And
Why?
I just couldn't get them down. I don't know. They just
Probably
tasted
'cause it's
gross.
sweet tea and Gatorade in your stomach, or
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get bottles on the course either because I wasn't in the elite field.
Oh,
So
and no one
Yeah.
was handing you anything.
they offered, but I knew I would spit it right back up, and I didn't want to waste anyone else's opportunity at bottles. But during the earlier stages of races, to get off this digression I've made, it kind of went perfectly. CJ took us out a little bit quick, the pacer, and I wasn't necessarily opposed to that. I was kind of hoping we would come through in 67:30 because I knew I was probably in closer to like 2:14 low shape, which I didn't end up running because probably the lack of fuel the last 5 miles caught up to me, which were my slowest splits. I probably was right around 5:13-ish the last like 5 or so. But I was not complaining. I felt pretty much talking effort through about 18 miles. There wasn't a lot of thinking going on. I mean, I was just chilling. That's the way to put it.
How nice is it to have CJ Albertson, a guy who's he's run 2:09 multiple times. He's ran this is his 5th marathon or something this year. Like, a true pro pacing you at that? Like, does their comfort knowing that like you're gonna hit your splits because he was there? And I think Rory Linkletter was there as well.
Yep, he was all there. Yeah, he which I find really funny. He was a Canadian at the U.S. Champs. I thought that was pretty funny. I realized it was him immediately because he has the mullet, but I didn't realize it was CJ. I thought CJ was taller. He's more like my size, like 5'7", 5'8". I thought for some reason CJ was like 5'11". So I was like, who the heck is this dude in this full Brooks kit pacing us? And then he turns around and I'm like, that's CJ Alberson. And I actually had him like the whole race. Like he finished right ahead of me. Um, and he just kept telling me the last like 2 miles and the other people I was around that like we had it, which was nice to hear. But it was pretty crazy. I for one, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect to get 40th place running 2:14:58. But for another, I didn't know we were having such good pacers.
So I ran CIM trying to get an OTQ in like, I don't know, 2023 or 2024. And I just remember like the vibes and the pack just being really immaculate. Like it was just everybody was, supporting each other and kind of talking each other through it. And it just felt like a real like camaraderie team setting. What was your experience in that pack during the race?
I'd had to worry about footing a little bit. I felt
Yeah.
like some people were like taking up a little bit more space than they probably should have and weren't being like super conscious. But I mean, overall, it was just so cool. I thought like the funniest part was people just throwing their bottles like over their head like this. Like you're like opening a grenade and throwing it. I don't know. That part always made me laugh. I couldn't help but like smile and laugh like the whole race. Like I saw this one clip of me that was posted from a videographer, and I'm like the only person that's just smiling and laughing. So I was just having such a good time. Like I just didn't expect to feel that good because I had gotten sick for the first time since the end of July. That Tuesday after my tune-up workout, which I had to do on the treadmill, funnily enough, because we got a bunch of snow up here. And I just started feeling pretty terrible. I had enough time to feel better that morning, but I was really nervous that I was just going to feel awful and I would just have to cling on for dear life. But I just felt so good. And maybe that's attributed to being in such a big pack. But I don't know. I just like, there's no other way of putting it. Like that was the most fun I've ever had in a race, at least up there.
Were you aware you were close to, I mean, maybe not, like Aaron Davidson from Cornell College was like right in that pack with Evan Sherman. I mean, maybe you don't know these guys, but like, did you maybe after the fact realize you all were D3, or was there any talk about like that's, I don't, probably not, but like, did you realize there's any D3 connection there?
I learned via your post afterwards. I didn't realize I'd be getting smoked that much by that many D3 guys. I'm obviously Mo Body. I saw in Let's Run that he was going to be in the race, and he kicked my butt. But like he runs 150 miles a week. I wasn't exactly expecting to beat him, but I didn't know Aaron or Evan were in it until your post after.
So, the end of CIM really flattens out. It's like basically a 5K direct line into the city. And as you get closer to the finish, the atmosphere starts building, the crowds get a little denser, and, you had a cushion on the time. So you knew you were likely going to make it. So kind of walk us through, both kind of the last few miles, the emotions there, and then more specifically kind of the finish line emotions where you take that last little left turn. I think it's a couple 100 meters, and you can see the clock up there. I think it's one of the best finish lines in sport during OTQ years. How did that feel for you?
Well, those last couple miles, once I went over the bridge at around, I guess it's like a little bit past 21 miles, I was feeling it. My legs felt terrible. And I was just really trying to hold on so hard because even though I knew I had a cushion, I still wanted to run as fast as I possibly could. Like at that point, like, yeah, I knew I was, no matter what, I was going to run under 2:16. Like I would literally have had to been walking to not do it because I was on 2:14:30 pace through like 35K. So I knew I like pretty deep in that like that wouldn't be a problem, but I wanted faster. Like I knew I was capable of running 2:14 low, but my legs just were giving out on me. And that part was really tough. The cheering and everything really did help. But another thing that was helping me was I was live splitting my watch every mile with the course markers. So I was pretty conscious of exactly what I was running and exactly what I would finish with, which I think really helps. And it helps especially like even if you're not splitting them, Sam doesn't really run too long on the watch. Like I was running fairly good tangents, and I still only got an extra 200 meters on the watch, which I think helps. But I still opted to split them myself just to make sure. Um, and through the finish line, there's another video of me that Road to the Trials posted where I'm just literally like hands over my head. I really couldn't believe it because I mean, in April, like I wasn't super confident that this would really work out. I was thinking like, oh, maybe 2032 can make the trials or whatever, but it didn't really have the same meaning as my expectations from October to now. And finishing, like, I got super emotional. My phone was flooded. I mean, flooded with messages. It took me 3 hours to answer every single text.
Dang.
And I'm not saying that
Humble
as a
brag.
flex or
Yeah,
anything.
I think it's impressive
Yeah.
that you answered every text.
Oh, I appreciate no matter
Yeah.
how little I know this person, anything like that. It means so much to me. Like, I don't want to get too emotional right now, but I was in tears because this has just been something. Like, I always knew I could be something in the sport, and that dream was dying. Like in college, a little bit. I wasn't ever what I really expected I could be, and after the fact, I don't know. Like, I broke down a little bit. I was with my mom, so I was trying to keep it a little, in check. And we had to walk back to my hotel, and oh my god, that was the worst walk of my life. I could literally barely take steps.
Why is post marathon, like the post marathon walk through the chute or like back, like the worst part of it all? Like
God,
Chicago stinks, New York looks like it's awful. Like that feels like it's the worst part of the race is post race getting to where you need to be.
I don't even know because after Jersey City, I wasn't even a quarter this sore, and Jersey City was 100 times harder than CIM was. So I don't know, but we had to walk. We weren't that far. We were staying at a hotel that was only like maybe 5 or 6 blocks away, but even that 3/4 of a mile walk was absolutely miserable.
In my experience, there's usually like a golf cart that'll just drive you right back to your hotel at the finish. You haven't
Well,
had that
maybe
too?
because he's not a professional runner.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
get any luxury there.
you just hop on the cart and it takes you right there. You should try it next time.
Yeah, maybe next year. Maybe
Yeah.
next year.
So what was the, before we get into the meaning and everything behind it, like what was the post race celebration? You're with your mom, but like, did you guys get any good food? Like, take us through like what the
Um,
aftermath was like.
you're gonna be a little disappointed. I'm not that type of person. I don't really celebrate things. My celebration is achieving it usually. I just laid in bed. I watched the Bengals Bills game. That was a really good one. Um, and then I think was it Packers Lions maybe? Just watched football. We went to get a milkshake too after the football game.
I was like, you
Had
didn't
a
no good food or anything?
I
The
wasn't hungry.
milkshake, Stu. The
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
milkshake.
had the
milkshake.
milkshake, but I really
Yeah.
wasn't that hungry.
That's
I
fair.
think I ended up getting a sub after, but I just took everything in me to even like think about food because I don't know. After a long run, especially, and I suppose this was just a long run when you think about a long run session, it's tough for me to eat.
Hmm.
And I knew it didn't matter. I knew I was like, well, I don't have to get my carbs or my protein, my 3-to-1 ratio after. Like, I don't need to recover for anything. I don't have to freaking cool down.
It's
I
nice
can
to
get
get
it.
a break from that.
Yeah.
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 So you've had, a week and a half now to kind of see it's settled in. You can see it in context now, and you mentioned earlier this is kind of the runner you had always dreamed about being. You just weren't getting the clear indications that it was on its way, but now you have the clear indication that you've arrived at that place where you really wanted to be. And so I guess I'm wondering how it's changed your self-image as a runner, maybe even as a person, and what it does to your thinking about the future.
Well, I mean, the half was really what pushed me initially. I was
Yeah.
like, I need to move to Flagstaff and I need to try to be a pro runner. I mean, this is all I want. Like, for me, there's really never been any other option. I've never really been passionate about anything else. And for a while, I was like, maybe I could run on the side, like as an elite runner and coach. But now it's like, why wouldn't I take the couple years to try to become a professional runner? Um, it really just I feel like so many doors have opened, like, how many guys in the US specifically run 2:14 at 22? Um, And honestly, like, I just feel like none of my workouts were really even that fast. Like, they were long, they were difficult, but I mean, I work out so much slower than I feel like a lot of people that run the times for me. So the slow progression we've been having with building mileage and amping up workouts, I feel like has helped me progress this much. And we're already setting in exactly my indoor plan, exactly my whole 2026 racing schedule, what time I need to run at this race, what place I should be getting at these US championships to get me along that road to a contract. But I know I should probably try to live in the moment a little bit and understand that it's not going to be linear. It wasn't linear to get here, and it probably won't be linear to hit the next goal. So I probably should try to settle a little bit, but it's nice to dream.
Yeah, have you looked up? Because that's an interesting stat. Like youngest U.S. marathoners, like the top list. Like, do you know where you fall as 22-year-old running 214,
As in ever or like
or
currently?
like currently, or just like in the United States?
I mean, I was the only 22-year-old to OTQ at CIM.
Yeah.
I would really have to go through the list, but I'm pretty sure right now I'm probably the youngest. I don't think anyone. I mean, I just graduated college. People usually aren't like running marathons. Like I ran a marathon. I ran 2 marathons in college, like my senior year, and now I'm a grad student running them. So maybe that's giving me a little edge. Like, oh, you could say, oh, this guy could OTQ if he did the marathon, but he's not. So you know what I mean? I would imagine I am, and I'm gonna ride out being 22 as long as I can until January 15th. I'm riding out that I'm still 22 and not 23.
No, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, that's I guess, when did you start? Like, how old is your train age? Like, when did you start? When did you start running?
I started running in 8th grade, so
Okay.
I've been running for a while. I didn't start training specifically for the roads until April of 20. I guess it was more like mid-February of 2024. Um,
Well, that's a great segue. You're looking at your TFers. You have a no time on February 17th, 2024, or something like that, and then there's no more results from you. Kind of take us through what happened at Marywood. You had, some fine personal best, but nothing that would scream 63 214 a year later. So what
yeah.
happened at Marywood in that February 2024?
Well, I'll start with the start of my college career. So I actually wasn't at Marywood to begin with either. I was at East Stroudsburg University. I lasted about 5 days on the team before I decided it just wasn't for me. I
Which
didn't.
college? Sorry,
East Stroudsburg,
East.
PSAC school, on the border of PA and New Jersey.
Okay.
And I lasted 5 days on the team. It just wasn't for me. Um, Nothing against the coach, nothing against the team. Just was not for me. So I went back to Dylan immediately because he had coached me privately my senior year of high school, where I
And
went
that's
from.
Dylan Gearinger, Haverford grad.
Yes,
How'd you get
yes.
how'd you get connected with him in the first place?
That's a really funny story. So during COVID, he's from Berwick, Pennsylvania, which is about 35, 40 minutes from where I grew up in Kingston and 40 Fort. And two of my buddies, Eric Johnson and Nash Green, needed a track, and Berwick track was like one of the only ones you could just go to that was near them. And they meet him there, and they see, like, on Strava it'll say ran with, and we looked at his Strava and we were like, holy shit, like this guy's freaking fast. So I didn't reach out immediately, but I transferred schools my senior year through some personal stuff. And after my cross country season, I had just a horrible cross country season. I mean, I was working my butt off all summer, and I had sucked, for lack of better words. I didn't break 17 in a single race, and we were running some pancake courses that were probably short. I couldn't get under 17 minutes in a 5K, so I head over to him for the indoor season, which we didn't really have because of COVID. Um, I ran some pretty big personal bests in the indoor season: 4:33 in the mile, 9:17 in the 3K. And the outdoor season went even better. I won my district championship in 4:21. Qualified for states for the first time in my whole career. I never made high school states in cross country. I only made it once in track. And everything was great from there. I did a 2-mile time trial in 9:28, 5K on the track, 15:29 that summer. And then I head to Stroudsburg. Just wasn't working out for me. I go back to him, and I get pretty sick for a while. I have a pretty miserable freshman year of college in terms of running. Training was whatever. Like, I was still able to do it, but racing just wasn't well. And Eventually, he gets the Marywood job, and I end up transferring over after finding that out. And that's where that all started. This was now 2022, the fall. I have 2 pretty miserable meets to open the year, 4K and a 6K, but my first 8K, I run 25:07, and I'm like, "Shoot, where the heck did that come from?" I come through and tying my 5K PR. I think I came through in 15:26, and that was great. I qualify for nationals, get a big 257th place there in the snow in Michigan. Nearly dead last, but not dead last, so that wasn't great. Had a mediocre indoor season. I had run 420 flat track and then 840 flat track 3K. Did not accomplish a single goal that we had set forth. Outdoor season was slightly better. I attempted to be a steeplechaser. Didn't work out very well. Ran 940.
Speaking of, I'm going to interrupt you here, and maybe you'll get to it. There might be a reason for you leaving the team. Is I looked into Tifers, they had you do a 1500, a 5K, a 10K, a steeple, and the 4x4.
Yes.
You won 4 of them at least and got second in the 15, but that seems... I'm sure Dylan's a great guy and great coach, but that seems criminal.
Well, if you look at the times, I ran 34:20 to win the 10K. The one I'm most proud of, though, I'm very proud of winning that 4x4. I was the anchor leg. It was my 5th event of the meet, and I ran a 400 PR to win the 4x4 for the team. I'm very, very proud of that. That is one of my proudest moments was that race. Sure, I split a 52, and that kind of sucks, but I'm really proud of that. That meet was a lot of fun. I was super proud of that. I walked over with athlete of the meet, and I was rookie of the year, which as a sophomore is kind of funny. But I had a great summer following that. Cross country season was a lot of fun. We had a really good squad. We were first team out of nationals, unfortunately, despite almost beating Johns Hopkins at regionals. We were so upset about that. Honestly, it was crushing. We sent 3 individuals to nationals, me, Jack Bronsky, and Bryce Ryder, but our 4 was the second guy out, Ben Devine, and our 5 was like 5 guys out, Brandon Fleshett, and we were just bummed. I mean, like, because we knew we deserved to be there. Yeah, that sucked. So morale was probably not the best heading into the indoor season. I had a pretty miserable winter of training, honestly.
And this is 2024 now?
This was, 2023 heading into 2024. And honestly, I was having rough times with my teammates, not getting along personally. And I know Dylan was having the same issues, and it's nothing against any of them. Personal differences are no mean to demean anyone's character. I don't have a single problem with any of them to this day, but it just wasn't working out for me. Just knowing who I am as a person, I'm super serious about running. I lamely have never drank a sip of alcohol in my life, and it's tough, if you see other people doing that on your team. You want everyone to be fully committed, and I'm not saying to not do that, but this is just who I am as a person. So I had a terrible, terrible indoor season. I mean, I literally couldn't imagine running worse. I was on and off of antidepressants, in and out of therapy, and mentally I was completely miserable. Dylan told me he was quitting the team, and I was like, thank God. Like, I wanted to be out of there so bad. We would practice at 6:15 in the morning because our school, that was the only time we could usually get track access, and it's the only time that all of us can meet at the same time because we didn't set up, like some schools, for example, Haverford will set it up where they won't schedule any classes from 4 to 6 p.m., just for example, and we didn't have that luxury. We didn't have a track. We didn't have a locker room.
I always find it funny when the track team doesn't have track access. It's like, that's literally what we practice. How do you mean? What do you mean we don't have access to...
It's the only thing we need.
Yeah. We had to pay money to the local high school to use their track, and we weren't allowed to use it during school hours. We were only allowed to use it before and after. And if they had a practice, nope, couldn't be there on there either. It was absolutely miserable. I mean, these were some of the worst months, days. I mean, it wasn't even just the running. Like, I didn't want to run, really. I didn't really even want to do anything. I was struggling really, really badly financially. I was just slaving my ass off at the pizza shop I work at, and I didn't have any fun. So we quit. Me and my buddy Brandon, we had quit, and the 2 of us just would train. We ended up being in the half in that April, and that went pretty well. I ran 68:57 on a pretty tough course for a debut off of a huge negative split.
You say
So that was a pretty
68?
good, yeah, 68:57. Um, Dylan ran 64:20 on that course, which to this day I think that's his best race ever. That course is pretty tough. You get about 400 feet in the first like 5 or so miles, and that's pretty miserable. But it was a great debut, and after that, I kind of struggled mentally again. Uh, I don't want to bring in like eating and weight, but I put on like 15 pounds, maybe just because of hormone differences with the antidepressants. I failed workouts. I did my local 5 miler and ran like 27 minutes, and I just needed a break. And I took a break and reset, and then had a miserable summer of training in altitude. I failed like every workout. I would run 8-minute pace, but I'd be exploding every day. Like I didn't have heart rate data on, but I could only imagine what it said. I don't want to know, but that was pretty terrible.
Were there moments during this where you just considered being done with running?
Believe it or not, it was never really an option. Um, for me, the only outcome, even if it was completely unrealistic and stupid, was to be an elite or pro level runner. And I'm really happy I stuck it through. I know that mentality is really tough to have. There were times where I would have to run, go to class, go to another class, work 5 hours, run at 8:30 p.m. while it's 10 degrees out. And moments like that, it's like it's hard to remember why you're doing it. It's like this is so stupid. Like what the heck am I doing? I'm wearing tights, pants over the tights, 2 jackets, 2 pairs of gloves. Like what the heck am I doing? But when you put purpose into every mile, you put purpose into every run, it really helps you push through it.
You know, taken away from the collegiate stand or the collegiate setup, it's tough when you have to race almost every weekend unless your coach, does every other weekend. When you move to the roads though, does that kind of free yourself of like the constraint that the college system puts on the athletes, given if they do follow, you know, race every weekend, workouts follow? Like, is it nice to not have to be strict with your schedule that way and kind of choose and pick your races? Like, does that help you at all?
Having the same coach, who we're pretty conservative with the amount of races we've done. We never raced back to back ever. The only time we did was regionals and nationals, obviously, but there's no choice there. Um, the biggest issue with me was the scheduling, as I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Having to practice that early just ruined everything. Like, I was never ever getting quality sleep. I knew I would have to wake up in the winter and practice at 6:15 in the morning, and it would be 10 degrees, and I would have to run through stupid Scranton, the same 3 routes we did every time because where else are we gonna go? The freedom of being able to run at 8:30 or 9, or if I have a pretty free day, I can run at 10, really helps. Especially now that Dylan moved back to the Scranton area, whereas he was in Philly before. We get in just about every run and every workout together, and we'll have our 8:30. I'll do my double at like around 1:30 alone, and then I'll go to work, and it just works out so much better. I feel so much more recovered, and I feel motivated to get my runs in. Not that I have to do this stupid 4 mile double and strides after. That's probably been the biggest thing post college.
So it sounds like the end of your college career or ending your college career was really a net positive for your running, considering all the obstacles you were going up against. But I also I think it's a little sad because I think a lot of people look at their college years as kind of like the most fun time they had in running, right? And so, has it been tough for you to reconcile kind of that college really wasn't that for you?
Yeah, I think last year was probably the worst with that. Jack Bronski from Marywood was an All American, and me and him did every workout together. We were pretty split even in the amount of times we beat each other. So missing the opportunity to fight for an All American spot really sucked. And it hasn't been bugging me as much this year, but I was, I would have had eligibility to race this 2025 season. I would have been able to race cross country indoor and outdoor. Um, and the fact that based off of how well I've been running, I was pretty confident in cross country. I could be in the top 10. Kind of sucks. Um, do I necessarily care that much? No, I think what I've been achieving has been more meaningful to me.
Success is the best medicine.
Yeah, and maybe to other people, an All-American would be more valuable, but to me, what I'm doing means more than anything in college could. The only thing I particularly miss is those big workout groups. We would have our entire top 7, every workout together, just doing we would did a lot of double T, and a lot of it was just riding the train, going to sleep. That I mean, that's something like you can never get back. One of my favorite workouts we do this. It's a Haverford classic that we implemented at Marywood as well. We would do 5 by mile, off 600 jog. The first one being at or below 5K pace. The middle 3 more of like a tempo, and the last one would just be all out. And those workouts always had the best vibes. I closed in 4:21, tying my high school PR in that workout. And that workout, like that's just one thing like you'll never forget after college.
So you kind of alluded to, going all in on running, which you seem like you are still all in on running. But do you have, now that you're in 214, you said Flagstaff, like you're only 2 weeks away removed from this race, but are there plans in the works to get yourself out to Boulder or Flagstaff, or where are you in that regard?
Well, it's tough in the situation I'm in right now. I'm still in grad school. It's tough to find people my age to move down there because a lot of my friends are either still in undergrad or they're in grad or they just got a job in this area and can't just move to Flagstaff across the country. But I still plan to head out there this summer again, anyway from a month to 6 weeks. Um, maximize that. But I'm hoping by the time I graduate, I'll have enough money saved up to move there officially myself. Um, I just feel like there's no reason to not live at altitude and do what I love. It's fine where I live. People try to convince me that I get a mini altitude effect because I live on a mountain, but I live at 2,000 feet. I don't think I'm getting anything there. But it's tough training here. I mean, my only training partner is Dylan, and he's great, obviously, but I feel like to truly fight for my bigger aspirations, I need to be living at altitude and getting that at least planned, maybe not in motion as quickly as I can.
So, I mean, you've been through a lot of shit. Like you've had long periods of struggle in the past, and now you have these huge successes. I guess, do you think that the successes will change the way you deal with future periods of struggle? Have you kind of thought about that at all? Like now that you know what you're fully capable of, let's say you go through another 3 months of kind of bashing your head against the wall, how do you think these race results will help you cope with future periods of struggle?
What was nice is I actually kind of already had that mentality, just because of how amazing my senior year of high school was. I didn't lose a single track race until our district championship. I didn't lose a mile race until I lost to Gary Martin at States. Like, stuff like that. That's what had motivated me in the first place, and this has just reiterated that. This is a little bit more assuring than running 4:21 in the mile, for sure, but, the same mentality is definitely applied, but it's nice to have that reassurance after. I mean, I could walk away at saying I probably had 3 college races that made me feel like even close to what I feel right now, and even then, it's not the same.
So on paper, it was 9 minutes and change. I want to say was your drop in PR from 224 to 214. Where do you see the ceiling? Like, where do you see yourself going? I mean, you're 22 years old. You just ran so well, but like, you seemed like you are very analytical and understand what your training is and where you need to be and all that. Like, do you have time goals for the future? Or like, where do you see yourself in the next, by the trials? Where do you want to be?
We break things down race by race. We understand that this was just an anomaly, like this jump. Like, I mean, if I had a better day on Jersey City, I'm sure I run closer to 220, and this drop would have made a little bit more sense. Um, so I look at it like this. Next year, I'll try to run grandmas in CIM. Try to run 213 low at grandmas, 212 mid to low at CIM, and I think the ceiling is probably 210. I know that these days it doesn't get you on an Olympic team, probably doesn't get you on a world team, but if I can make some sort of global team and get a pro contract, I'll be very happy with that. Like a Pan Am's. I would really take anything if I can get a U.S. singlet, but
Is there
I
U23
understand.
marathon championships? We gotta get you in before you turn 23.
U23, I wouldn't be eligible. I
Oh,
turned
that's right,
23.
yeah.
I turned 23 in January. I think you have to be after September 15th
Yeah.
or some nonsense. But I wish. But yeah, we break it down like that. We look at the half as well. Some check marks. I want to race 4 U.S. championships next year. We have the half, the 25K, 20K, and then CIM again, which is doubling as the U.S. champs again. So, if I could try to be close to top 10 by CIM next year, that'd be amazing. And I think a good step in the right direction. But by the trials, I kind of want the time goals to be a little bit less to worry about and more of a competing thing. Whereas, CIM was, I know I'm not going to be top 10. I thought top 25 and I ended up getting 40th. But now I know I'm going to be competing for things. I'm not going to be competing to run times. I hope by then I could be competing to be maybe top 10. I don't feel like that's crazy to say in what would be 2.5 years' time, 2 years. I don't know. It just feels like with the way I train and how it's been steady progression, I don't feel like many things are impossible. This was already blew out our wildest dreams. I mean, even Dylan was saying like, a great day is still probably 2:15:50. I didn't agree, I will say. But yeah, I just don't see why I can't, fight for things that would have made no sense to me even in September.
So I really identify with what you said earlier about how you've kind of lived your life where there's kind of no other option than being a good runner. I felt the same way myself, and I think it's a really hard way to live.
Yes.
But there's also some moments that really make it worth it. And I also know that there's people who are going to be listening to this episode who don't have the resume, but they still believe that they can get there, and they're going to see examples like you who are getting there. And so I guess let's say you run into one of these guys at a race and they come up to you and they're like, "Hey man, I suck, but I want to be good." Like what would you say to somebody like that in that situation?
So the reality of stuff like this is if you feel that way, I mean, it's going to be tough. But if you can tell yourself long term, if I'm consistent, if I don't find bullshit excuses to skip my runs, I do every run. I run my mileage. I hit my workouts. I don't push too hard when I don't have to. I make sure everything's properly periodized. It's going to work out. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer than you think it would, like I did. I didn't think, I didn't think I would be as bad as I was for that time. So it really just is, consistency is the name of the game. You can't expect something to change in a month or two. Sometimes it takes, 4 years to have another good race like it really did for me. It's just about that belief. Push away the people that don't believe in it because you don't want them there. It's not going to happen if you don't surround yourself with people that have the same beliefs as you.
Mike, it's been an inspirational story listening to you. What's a dream race of yours? I feel like you have it all plotted out, like where you're going to go, but like if you didn't have the schedule that you wanted, like what are your dream races?
I would always dream of running Valencia. That's definitely one I want to eventually get on the schedule. It's tough to find a spot for it. I've always dreamed of doing Valencia. I do want to run some bigger track meets. I have embarrassingly slow track PRs, so I think I'm gonna head to BU this winter again and just run Valentine. Those are always like, I mean, it's tough to beat races like that. Those are like ones that you just dream of. And honestly, outside of that, like I've never really had an interest in running like a Boston or New York or anything like that. Maybe a Chicago if I can get into shape to be in the elite field.
It's all right. Not everyone can run Boston Marathon. I get it. Noah hasn't. I mean, I have a few times, but yeah, totally, I get it. It's not for everyone.
You can hold that over us, yeah.
It's like Stu's only claim to fame. He's probably mentioned it in like 100
Every
episodes.
time I can. It's that, and I beat Noah in twice my freshman year.
Yeah. It's okay. We're over it. We have a good relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
But you got to hold it over every once in a while.
Yeah, I know my buddies. Oh my God, my friend Tom Lee, he holds over me that he beat me one time in his entire career. He beat me in the 800.
Get used
The
to it.
800. And my friend Ben only beat me one time as well. He beat me in our conference meet. He got third place to steal the last medal from me. I got fourth. They will never let me forget that.
Maybe that's the takeaway of this episode is like never lose to your friends. Yeah.
I do that a lot. I mean, I did
Yeah.
this fall. I lost to my buddy Hunter Brignall. I lost to him in the 10-miler, and I lost to Joey Dada in a 5-miler. This fall, in August and September.
Yeah.
And so it happens.
Well, Mike, thank you for taking some time to share your story with us. It's awesome. And congratulations on knocking the OTQ out early in the window. I know we'll be excited to continue following your results in the future, and we appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure.